What's happening, guys? Silent Mike, Super Training Gym, Mark Bell's Powercast here, showing you guys in a complete week of my bench program and my bench press workouts. So I'm showing you 2 days. Right now I'm benching twice a week. I've been doing that for quite a while now. Every once in a while I'll up the frequency to 3 times a week, but typically just twice. Here's just a simple warm-up. I'll do 3 rounds of this currently. So I'll do some face pulls. I don't really count reps. I just go till it burns. Straight into some pull-aparts, same thing. Don't really count reps. Just go till it burns. Typically anywhere from 15 to 30. Some easy side laterals. Just trying to warm up my shoulders before I begin pressing. I'll also do a dumbbell clean. You guys can check that out in a previous video or just Google it. Then I hop on the bench. I always start with just the barbell, but since that's so boring, I just skipped it for you guys. Barbell, plate quarter, 2 plates depending on the day, and then I'll go to the working weight. Today my goal was to go for a volume PR. I've done 315 for a set of 5, but I want to do 315 for 3 sets of 5. So here's the first set. Felt a little bit heavy in my hands. I haven't benched, I don't think I've benched 315 since my meet, so it's probably been a month, maybe even 6 weeks since my meet. But it moved pretty fast, felt pretty good. I got up and I talked to Casey, who's been lifting off for me. He's a good training partner of mine. I don't think Mark was here that day, but these are a couple guys I train with often. He said, yeah, you'll easily got it. So here I go again. Second set felt just as good, if not better. I like where my form is. Ass is staying on the bench. Shoulders were tucked. Speed still pretty good. Touching, I'm not pausing, but I don't really have a meet in mind lately. So my goal is just to get some volume. Not really do anything less than a set of 5, to be honest. And here's the third set. Often I'll do 3 sets of 5, but or excuse me, 2 sets of 5 or 2 sets of my working weight, and then an AMRAP. But I got 3 sets of 5 and I still felt pretty good, so I decided to add an extra set, and this one I did an AMRAP. As I mentioned before, my previous best was 315 for 5. Now I'm already kind of fatigued because I did 3 sets of 5, but I want to do an AMRAP. I ended up getting 7, I believe. And that'll be pretty much all the pressing I do in a typical bench session. Depending if I'm far away from a meet, close to a meet, obviously in a calorie surplus, gaining weight that is, or losing weight, determines on how much volume I can handle or one can handle. Obviously training age plays a large role to it. I've been benching for quite a while. I'm no expert per se, but I've been around a lot of experts and I've worked my tail off for a lot of years. Want to get in some extra work. Had a lot of energy today. Probably all those Christmas cookies and holiday food, so I threw on the slanger, added 30 pounds or so, and I just did a couple more sets of 5. Afterwards, I hopped on a different bench just because it was getting busy in there. I wanted the other guys to have the good bench. Just did 225 close grip. For me, close grip, I just moved my grip in more. So typically my ring fingers are on the ring. Here I'm about 1 inch in from there. Sometimes if you go too excessive in or out from your competition bench, it can just put your shoulders in a compromised position. You just end up getting injured or tweaked. It's not really worth it, so I just tucked them in a little bit. This is actually my old bench grip, so it's pretty comfy for me. Banged out a couple sets of 10 or so. Moved on to dumbbells, did a bunch of pressing today because I had the cookies to work off. Here's just a gimme set or a warm-up set. Every exercise I do with a new movement, I'll start with something light-ish. I think that was 60, maybe 80-pound dumbbells. Superset it with some pull downs or chin ups. A neutral grip here, it's one of my favorite. Very comfortable on the forearms and shoulders. After my main bench and the movement, any day, every day, I'll get on to some accessory work. Once again, closer or further out from a meet will depend on how much I do. Since I have no meet in mind, I've eaten a bunch of cookies, I could do a ton of work this day and I still feel great. So I did dumbbell presses and pull downs back and forth, back and forth. Typically if I have a competition coming, I'm spending a little bit more time on the flat barbell bench press, and then maybe just finishing off with 1 back movement, maybe dumbbells, or maybe a face pull. Got 2 to 3 sets of that, just showing you guys a little sample here. Then I moved on to some rows. My back's not necessarily a weak point. You know, a lot of accessories, it's time to work on your weak points. If I had to pick a weak point, it'd probably be my arms if you look at size. But strength-wise, I feel pretty even. I don't have any glaring weaknesses in terms of strength, so I just want to get everything a little bit bigger, everything a little bit stronger. Look at those deep elbows, building some lats. Feels great to do rows after you press too because you're all wound up in the shoulder. Wanted to get some dumbbells, but it got super crowded over there. My favorite is rolling dumbbell extensions. Instead, I just hopped up, did these barbell extensions. I do them false grip, makes it a little bit easier on my wrists. Sets, weight, reps, doesn't really matter. I just go till it burns. Sometimes I'll get a little more serious, do the exact same exercise for 4 to 6 weeks. Try to increase the sets, reps, and volume. But here I'm just trying to get some blood in there. Threw that puppy down, moved on to curls right afterwards. I'm trying to drop a little bit of weight now in the new year. New year, new me, new you, friends. Just kidding, but I did gain a little bit of weight getting in the meat, as I've previously mentioned. So after I do my main movement, I'll start to superset things. Easy way to up your heart rate, burn some extra calories. Here's my second day of bench. At super training, we bench Thursday afternoons and then Sunday mornings. Because I went a little bit heavier, went above 315. Right here, I'm working with Mark and Casey. I have a band on there. Adds, I don't know how much weight. It was actually pretty damn thick of a band. I didn't think it'd be that easy, or excuse me, that hard, but it hurt quite a bit at the top. Anyway, so I was just gonna do sets of 10. I previously did sets of 5. Changing your sets, reps, and intensity is an easy way to progress in any lift. Exercise variation is another way, obviously popular with the conjugate and west side method, but many other ways to change the variation and change the stimulus to get you still growing and gaining strength. So the easiest way I do it, or the way I like to do it, is change my reps and then how much weight's on the bar. I probably use, I don't know, 80 to 82% with the 315 for sets of 5, and now all I use is 185 plus that band for sets of 10. 3 to 4 sets of 10 here this day. Mark's still repairing his pec a little beat up from still benching that 600-pound miss at his last meet. His elbow's bugging him. He's a little shaky still, so he's been doing a lot of bodybuilding work, trying to build it back up. First day kind of going heavy-ish on the bench. He got a lot of sets in. He was just doing triples. Common question is, if something hurts, should or how should you bench? How should you lift around it? You know, a common thing to think is to do very lightweight and do it for sets of 10 or something, but that's actually going to get you more time under tension, which potentially could cause more inflammation and more pain or more damage depending on the injury. Obviously, if you're injured, you should go to the doctor and get that checked out. But if it's just a pain or ache, it's probably just better to stick to sets of 1 to 3. Less time under tension, you're still getting work done, you can handle maybe 70%. Obviously, this depends on the pain severity and how seriously you're injured, but Mark doesn't think he's injured per se. He thinks he just strained the pec and it's slowly getting better, so he's just doing triples. After I did a couple sets of 185, I got so tired and I didn't like to be slow. I never like to lift slow. One of my goals is to always lift fast and with good form. For me, that's worked best in increasing my strength and carryover into my 1 rep max and powerlifting meet, so I lowered the weight just to make sure I was fast. Moving on to overhead, a goal of mine is to improve this lift. My shoulders are fairly strong, but they're not that balanced. My front delt, my anterior delt is very overgrown from all the benching, so I want to even it out, and I think this is a good way to do it for me. I'm starting with sets of 8 today, and then I'm going to move on the following week to sets of 6, up the weight a little bit. The following week, sets of 4 a little bit, all of them trying to be fast, and then start over with sets of 8 a little bit heavier, maybe even just 5 to 10 pounds. It's a very easy, simple, old school progression, but I think it'll work well with my overhead since I haven't focused on it a ton. I don't need any fancy tricks. Like always, after the main movements, I'll just move on to some easy accessories. My main movements on my second day are going to be some kind of reps, either close grip, bands, or chains, then overhead, then all my accessory work. So chin up, face pulls, and then I finish up with some nice easy arms. Face pulls is something I think everybody should put into every routine. Got to work up your rear delt. Mark's showing you his nice prototype Slanger belt and Slanger belt boner. I just always think people, if they lack anything, it's rear delt and it's back. So doing face pulls, chins, rows, not only does it make me feel mentally better, but physically it kind of throws my shoulder back in its socket, let me stretch out my pecs a little bit from all the benching. It just gets tight, tight, tight. Here's a little gimme set. I didn't get my working weight. I like to push these a little bit, like I said, especially if I'm in a surplus or I can feel good. So I'm feeling good this day, this week, this month, these last 6 months really, eating a little bit more food. So I hammered out some rolling dumbbell presses. Mark's coaching me and slapping me back down. Actually, he's just fucking with me, but it's the same deal. Finished off with some hammer curls, 2 to 3 sets of that, upping the weight, basically just until it burns. Like I said, not really counting anything as of now. That's it for this one, guys. There's a sample week of my bench press training. Like that bitch, share that bitch, subscribe to that bitch. Thanks for all the support, guys. Leave a comment below what you guys want to see next. Thanks, I'm out.